respectability. The milkman, the paper boy, evening TV. Everywhere you look, there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, there's a face of somebody who needs you. Everywhere you look, when you're lost out there and you're all alone, life is waiting to carry you home. Everywhere you look, everywhere you look,
What now?
Go. Start.
Start what?
You. No.
Oh, we're starting from the
yeah.
beginning? Okay. Ready? Hi guys, so Kara and I both read the book Anthem by Ayn Rand, and as an overview, from my perspective, what I thought the book was first about was this dystopian society that was being brainwashed into thinking that being different from everyone else was a bad thing. What did you think?
From first reading it on, from at least the beginning to where I got, it gave me an idea that might have been about the Nazi, or in Nazi times, because the Jewish people went by numbers, and the main character in this book, because everybody was the same, everybody got a number, and so it really gave me that idea. But after reading it more, I realized that had nothing to do with it. So that was basically our take on the book. And so now we're going to try to furthermore explain more about it so you can have a better understanding about it.
So starting off the book, we're introduced to the main character named Equality 72521. He starts to realize that the society that he lives in is very corrupt because everything is so equal. But because of what he's been taught when he was younger, he thinks that thinking this way about the society he lives in is such a big sin, so he pushes it out of his mind for a long part of his life until he discovers an underground tunnel.
Just the next part. Alright. So moving forward in the book, Anthem, Equality, and a couple of his worker buddies, they found an underground tunnel, almost like the Underground Railroad, you know what I mean? So basically what this was about, there was no rules that they could or couldn't go into this tunnel. So him and his buddies, they did go in the tunnel. And that's where...
No, just him went in the tunnel. They didn't say anything because they didn't let him out because...
Really?
They didn't let him out because they didn't know if it was a sin or not. So
so they didn't know if they were allowed in there. So they didn't go in?
They didn't go in, but Equality went in.
Equality went in, and that's where he liked to write all his stuff at. And so I thought that was just very interesting. Add that in.
So after discovering the tunnel, Equality ends up sneaking in so that he could write his journal, and that obviously wasn't allowed. It was against the law because you're not allowed to have your own thoughts or opinions, so he had to do it secretly.
Pretty good. So, let me ask you a question about that, or so you guys can have a better understanding. So, what did he do in the tunnel again?
He wrote his journal.
The journal, and that's Anthem, the book, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, not technically. All right. So, continuing on with the story, we're gonna talk about how Equality, he didn't want to be like everybody else. In fact, he actually wanted to be a scholar, and he believed he must have had some kind of curse on him because he didn't want to be like everybody else. He didn't do what everybody else did in a society that was structured and everybody did the same thing. So there must have been something wrong with him. And Jasmine, what did you say that it related to?
Okay, so for all the simple-minded people out there, I feel like this kind of relates to that Disney movie Brave, where Merida, she didn't want to be like all the other princesses. She didn't want to be like all the other princesses. She didn't want to be married off to a prince to
just get married.
Yeah.
No.
She didn't want to be like them. She actually wanted to she loved archery. She wanted to do archery, and I feel like that's kind of relates to equality because he wants to be a scholar, but
in this society where everything's corrupt,
somebody has to choose it for him.
Alright. Okay, guys, so starting off, continuing on what I was talking about, we have a girl that is in the story, and that equality, what was his number again?
7, 25, 21.
Yeah. Where he falls in love with this girl now. Now, this isn't really allowed because it's a society where everybody's just all males, and at one point of the year, everybody goes to this place called the Palace of Mating, right? Is that what it is? Yeah, Palace of Mating. So every year, every guy, they go there once a year to have sex. Anyways, continuing on. So that's what they do every year, and he didn't do that because he found somebody that he actually had an interest in, and I just thought I'd bring that up into the story. Anything to add on? All right, next.
The couple actually end up running away into the forest together so that they could stay together.
A couple, you mean equality and the his love interest?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's basically what happens then, and he doesn't follow society's rules.
So to sum it all up, at the end of the story, Equality ends up figuring out who he is as a person. What do you think?
So like Jasmyn says, I think he really figures out that he's not like everybody else, and we continue to say this throughout the video, that he's not like everybody else and that he is different. And I think he's starting, at the end of the book, he's starting to accept that he is different and not take it as like a bad thing. So that's basically the whole story. What about, we could talk about the theme, what the theme of the story is, or what we at least thought the theme of the story is. So my thought on the theme was like finding out who you really are, or like finding out, or even like it's like okay to be different. Do you know how to word that? Like how I want to say it?
It's okay to be different from everybody else.
Yeah, it's a that's what we really think the theme is, at least from reading the book. So yeah, you guys can discuss what you guys think, what you guys thought of it. What should we say at the end?
Bye.
Thank you for watching.
Bye. Different is evil, or different is what?
Keep going.
The book Anthem by.
I'm sorry.
For Christ's sake, girls! My eyes are pink now. I don't have pink eye.
I look like I'm having a stroke. I am having a stroke. No, wait, I do have notes on it though. Give me a sec. I'll cut it to make it sound okay.
Hi, Archie.
Reading this was showing whatever our presentation
For what?
for Miss King's
Were you guys presenting?
a video. Yeah. Well, now you're in it. Jeez. Yeah, she's gonna see this. What the heck?
It died. None of that got saved, did it?